Welcome back to the second video of Module 2 Practical Foundations of Prompting. In the last video, we built the mental model that everything in this module sits on. Prompt engineering is communication to a probabilistic system, and the goal is to make the output you want the most probable output. We covered the four components every effective prompt needs: task, context, input, and expected output. And we saw in concrete terms what happens when you leave those components underspecified. Now we are going to move from understanding to technique. This video introduces the first two practical patterns you'll see, probably more than any other technique in this module. They're called zero shot and one shot prompting. The names come from machine learning research, but the ideas are intuitive. By the end of this video, you'll have a working decision framework for when to use each one. A quick recap of the previous video before we go. Prompt engineering is basically communicating intent precisely. Wording shifts the probability distribution of outputs, so every word matters. Prompts need four things: task, context, input, and expected output. Missing any one produces inconsistent results. And stating your purpose, why you need something, often makes a bigger difference than any other single addition. So carry those ideas forward, and today's techniques are directly built on them. Let's start with zero shot prompting. The term is a bit of a jargon, but the concept is completely natural. Zero shot means you give the model a task with no examples. You just ask directly. No demonstrations of what good output looks like, just the request itself. So, here is an example of a zero shot prompt. Classify the sentiment of this review as positive, neutral, or negative. So, let's put this in ChatGPT and see what the output is. So, this is the prompt that we have written. Classify the sentiment of this review as positive, neutral, or negative. And the review is this: the delivery was fast, but the packaging was damaged. And it says that the sentiment is neutral. And it also justifies this answer. It says the review contains both positive aspect, delivery was fast, and a negative one, that packaging was damaged. So this balances out the positive with the negative, and the overall sentiment is coming out as neutral. So this is what the model is saying. Now, in what cases does zero shot prompting work well, right? So this works well for familiar tasks, for something that has a standard output format, something that's unambiguous. So in these cases, zero shot is the right call. So you haven't shown the model a single classified review so far. You're relying entirely on what the model already learned during its training. And for sentiment classification, that's a lot. The model has already processed millions of examples of this kind of task. It already knows how to read a review, how to decide whether the review is positive, negative, or neutral. And your prompt is just telling it what to do with this specific piece of text. So, this is the fundamental insight about zero shot prompting. It works when the model already knows how to do the job. When the task is familiar, when the expected output format is standard, when the interpretation is clear. In those conditions, zero shot is fast, effective, and requires no extra work from you. And zero shot covers a remarkably wide range of tasks like translation, basic summarization, question answering, sentiment analysis, any other kind of simple classification, text reformatting, and so on. So, these are all the tasks that the model has encountered in enormous quantities during its training. So, you can ask directly and you get decent results. So, when does zero shot actually break down? Zero shot has specific predictable failure modes. So let me walk you through some of them, because knowing where a technique fails is just as important as knowing where it is going to work. So the first failure mode would be a non-standard format. So if you want output in a very specific structure, let's say a particular JSON schema or a table with specific columns, a company specific report format, the model has to guess what the structure looks like, and it will guess differently across different runs. The output may be correct in content, but it is inconsistent in form. So when you need a very specific format, zero shot rarely delivers it reliably. So let me show you an example. So here we are writing this prompt: extract the key action items from this meeting transcript and return them in JSON. And the transcript is basically these next two, three sentences. It says, we agreed that Sarah will handle the vendor contract by Friday. Tom needs to brief the board before the end of the month. The product team should complete the UI review by next Wednesday. So from here, if I want something to be written in a JSON format, so a JSON format is basically a key value pair kind of a thing. So you have the column names here, and what value the column contains, it keeps changing. So that is what is written in this kind of a format. This is the JSON format. So you see that you have action items inside which you have owner, task, and deadline. So it's describing who is the owner of the task, what is the task itself, and what is the deadline. Now, if I was to run this, say, multiple times, there is no guarantee that I'm going to get the same names, the same column names. So, why is that? So, task can be written as action, deadline can be written as due date. So it's not wrong. It's the same prompt, but you can get a different structure. And this is the format instability that Zero Shot produces when the schema is unspecified. And the failure mode 2 would be ambiguous task interpretation. So let's say I'm saying analyze this task. So this could mean a rhetorical analysis, a sentiment analysis, an argument structure analysis, or a factual accuracy analysis. So the model will pick the interpretation that seems most plausible to it given the rest of the prompt. That interpretation might not necessarily be yours. So when a task has multiple valid interpretations, Zero Shot basically forces the model to choose, and it doesn't know which interpretation you had in mind. So that is where ambiguity is going to come into picture. The third failure mode is tone and persona. Let's say I'm asking the model to write a response to a particular customer complaint. Now, should this be formal? Should this be empathetic? Or should it be apologetic? Or do we want to be assertive? Or do you want it to be brief? Or do you want it to be elaborate? So the model basically picks the tone that seems the most reasonable to it. It might match your brand's voice, or it might not. So when tone matters, Zero Shot is not very reliable. So what connects all these three failure modes? It's basically ambiguity. So Zero Shot works when there's only one reasonable way to interpret the request. When there are several reasonable interpretations, the model picks one, and its pick might not be what you have in mind. So this is the exact problem that one shot prompting tries to solve. So, one shot prompting adds a single example to your prompt before the task. So, one example. So, that's necessarily the change that we're making from zero shot to one shot. And the effect of that one example can be quite dramatic. So, when you provide an example, you're not just giving the model more information, you're demonstrating. You are showing what good output looks like for the task that you're asking it to accomplish. Rather than trying to describe it in words, you're showing the example itself. And showing is generally more precise than describing the task. So think about what a single example communicates without any explicit instruction. So you have a format and structure. The example shows exactly how the output should be organized. So, which sections exist, in what order, at what level of detail. You don't have to describe the structure, you just show it. And vocabulary and register. So, the example shows the right tone. Do you want it to be casual or formal? Should it be precise, or are approximations okay? So, the model calibrates to see what it sees, not what you tell it. And then you have the appropriate length. So the example implicitly signals how much detail is expected for a given input. A two sentence example reaches the model to give you a two sentence response. A 10-sentence example will teach it to elaborate on whatever the response is. And then you have edge case handling. So, if your example includes an ambiguous case and you have handled it in a particular way, the handling becomes the rule for all future ambiguous cases. So, now you have taught the model your policy without having to essentially articulate it. So, all of that gets transmitted through one example, and none of it requires any additional instruction. Let me make this more concrete with a meeting summary task. So, you want to summarize uh, that follow a specific format, say action items first, each with an owner and a deadline, then key decisions, then open questions. You could try to describe the structure in words, like provide a summary with action items first, each formatted with an owner name and deadline, followed by key decisions, and then followed by unresolved questions. The instruction is reasonably clear, but it's still open to interpretation. So, what does formatted with owner name essentially look like? So, where do these items appear on the page? Or you could show one meeting summary in exactly the format that you want and say, summarize this meeting in the same format. So, like here is an example of the summary format I want. And you say example meeting notes, you give something, and then you say example summary, what kind it should look like. And then you can say now summarize the meeting in the same format. So let's go into ChatGPT and I'll show you this example. Now let me make this concrete with a meeting summary task. So you want summaries that follow, let's say, a specific format. You want the action items first, each with its own owner and a deadline. Then key decisions, then open questions if any. Now, if you have to provide a summary with action items, how are we going to do that? So let's say this is my meeting summary. So this says product sync 20th November. Sarah has to finalize vendor contract by Friday, Tom to brief the board before month end, product team to complete UI review by next Wednesday, and the decision is delay the mobile app release until UI review is done. So now I'm saying summarize this meeting and it's putting everything in bullet points. Now, let's say that I have a particular meeting format that I want to follow, and I'll give the example meeting notes and the example summary. Now, the example meeting notes is this: Finance Sync 14th November, Lisa to send revised budget to CFO by Thursday, team agreed to delay Q1 campaign launch, Ben owns campaign timeline update. So now the example summary looks like owner action deadline, and finally what is the key decision. Now for this new some new meeting notes, that is product sync on 20th November, I have some details here and I want this to be in the above format. So once I give the meeting notes and the action as basically examples for the model to see and say, now here is my new meeting notes, put it in the same format as above, it basically does that. So now it says Sarah to finalize vendor contract by Friday. So finalize vendor contract is the action and Friday is the deadline. And then it says Tom to brief the board before month end. So the owner is Tom, the action is to brief the board, and the deadline is before month end. And the key decision was to delay the mobile app release, which is what the key decision is here. So I want to specify a little bit on why these examples work so well. So there's a deeper reason examples are powerful and it's worth understanding. When the model sees an example, it's not just matching surface patterns, it's inferring the implicit rule that your example is an instance of. So when you show one classified customer complaint, the model doesn't just learn this specific text maps to this particular label. It learns something about the category of the inputs that belong to that label. This means one shot output often generalizes correctly to inputs the model has never seen. So, inputs that are phrased differently, which are either longer or shorter, or it comes from a different context. So, the example teaches the rule, not just that particular case. So let's look at some common mistakes at this point. So one shot prompting only works when you have a very good example. So a poor example doesn't just fail to help, it can actually actively mislead the model. So the first rule is use a representative case, not an exceptional one. So your example should reflect what a typical input and typical output look like. If your example is unusually complex, unusually long, or involves edge case handling that most inputs don't really require, then the model will calibrate to that level. It will over elaborate on simple inputs, or it's going to handle edge cases in ways that don't really apply to the common case. So use the most typical example you have, the kind of input you encounter most often and which is handled in a very standard way. And the second rule is format must match exactly what you want back. So this one is a little subtle, but it's very critical. So every formatting decision in your example, the labels you use, the separators, the capitalization, how sections are, say, delineated, this becomes an implicit specification. So if your examples labels the output field as category and the model returns label instead, then that's a failure of the example, not the model. So make sure every detail of the example format is exactly what you want replicated. And the third rule is length and tone should mirror your expectations. So if you want concise outputs, make your example concise. If you want formal outputs, write your example formally. The model interprets the length and register of the example as a target. So a verbose example produces a verbose output. A terse example is going to give you a terse output. So think of it this way, the example is a contract. The model will try to honor that contract. Make sure that the contract says exactly what you want. Now, let me show you the concrete difference with a task that you might encounter regularly, that is converting rough meeting notes to a polished executive email. So here are the notes. So talk to Priya regarding Q4 budget, procurement blocking software purchase, needs escalation, end of month deadline, Tom handles. So in a zero shot result, we are just going to say convert these rough notes into an executive email. And in the one shot result, we are going to give an example just like we did earlier. And the outputs are what you can see on the screen. So in the one shot output, you see that it's too long. It can have multiple paragraphs, which is really not required. And who is the owner is kind of buried in a different paragraph. And there is no clear next action steps. And the language is very fluffy. That is, there's not much content, there is not much weight behind the words. It's just a lot of passive padded language. Whereas in the one shot result, if you give an example saying this is exactly what I want, you get who is the owner, what is the action that you want, what is the background, and the next steps. So the owner is highlighted immediately, and whatever you want is there concisely on the screen. And your next action with the deadline is also very specifically mentioned, and the tone that you specify is also there. Let's look at a decision guide. That is, when do you use zero shot and when do you upgrade to one shot? So here is a practical decision rule. So you start with zero shot always. If the output comes back in good shape, it's correctly structured, the tone is appropriate, it's consistent across a few runs, then you're done. You don't need to add complexity if you don't really need it. And you upgrade to one shot when you see that the output format is drifting across runs. If you run the same zero shot prompt three times and get three meaningfully different formats, a one shot example will usually stabilize it. Now, the tone, that is, if it's consistently off, let's say it's too formal, too casual, or too verbose, then one example in the right register is going to fix this more reliably than any instruction about tone. and a task where you already know what a good output looks like. So if you've already written a good example of the output you want, let's say a summary or a report, an email, whatever it might be, that will be your example. So you can use it directly. But one thing to notice is that the condition, like you have a good example of what you want, is almost always satisfied. So most of us have written the kinds of things we are asking the model to produce. So your existing good outputs are your best examples. So don't construct examples from scratch when you have real ones. Okay, so coming to the end of video 2, let's look at what our key takeaways are. So, first thing is zero shot is the right starting point for familiar, unambiguous tasks. When the model already knows how to do the job and the expected output format is standard, just ask. You don't need to add complexity where complexity is really not required. And the second key takeaway is one shot is the minimum useful intervention for unstable outputs. So, one well chosen example resolves most format, tone, and interpretation inconsistencies that you might be facing across runs. The third takeaway would be examples communicate implicitly. So, the format, vocabulary, length, edge case handling, all of this is transmitted through examples without a single additional instruction. The fourth takeaway would be the key example often outperforms more instructions. So, a clear example is more precise than a paragraph uh, describing what you want. So, when in doubt, show rather than like telling the model what exactly is it that you want. And the final takeaway would be to start with zero shot and then upgrade when you see inconsistency. So use one shot when format drifts or when the tone keeps changing, or you already have a clear example of what kind of output you want. So in the next video, we push this further. What happens when one example just isn't enough? So we look at a few shot prompting technique. So this will use multiple examples to define complex task behavior and cover exactly how to design examples that will actually work. So see you in video 3.